I worked hard at 2 jobs to pay for college while my parents funded luxurious vacations for my younger sister. "We have no money for you," my mom used to say, laughing. But when I got a good position and started earning, they turned to me. I remember my mother laughing when I asked for help with college. "We don't have any money for you," she would say, shaking her head like it was some kind of joke, as if I should have just accepted it and moved on. Meanwhile, my younger sister, Emily, was jetting off to Europe, soaking up the beaches of the Caribbean, and posting photos of herself sipping cocktails at 5-star resorts. My parents paid for everything: her tuition, her vacations, even her rent when she decided to live off campus. And me? I worked 2 jobs. By day, I stocked shelves at a grocery store, running on caffeine and exhaustion. At night, I waited tables, smiling at customers while my feet ached from standing for so long. There were days when I could barely keep my eyes open in class, but I persevered, because I had no choice. At first, I didn't blame Emily. It wasn't her fault that our parents spoiled her. But the imbalance became impossible to ignore, especially when she casually mentioned another shopping trip to Paris while I was eating ramen for the 3rd night in a row. And then one day everything changed. The turning point came during winter break of my junior year. I had just finished a double shift at a restaurant and was trudging home through the snow when my phone rang. It was a message from Emily. "Traveling is so exhausting. But Santorini is amazing, smiling face with heart eyes, I wish you were here." The message was accompanied by a photo of her in a designer swimsuit, standing on the deck of a yacht. I stared at her, standing in the cold, wearing a uniform that was still wet from spilled drinks. I could barely pay the rent. I hadn't bought new clothes in over a year, and my parents were paying for their cruises in Greece. When I got home, I confronted my mother. "How come you can pay for all this for Emily, but you can't even help me with a textbook?" She just smiled like it was the dumbest question in the world. "Emily's different, honey. She's not as independent as you are." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so ridiculous that I didn't know how else to react. "Independent," I repeated. "I'm independent because you made me independent." She shrugged. "You're fine, aren't you?" That was the moment I realized I was independent. Absolutely. So I stopped asking. I stopped waiting. I worked, I studied, I made my way, knowing that one day I would be in a position where I wouldn't have to ask anyone for anything. And that day came sooner than I thought it would. Graduation day was surreal. I walked across the stage, shook the dean's hand, and clutched my diploma like it was a ticket to a new life. My parents were there, clapping politely, but I knew it was more for show. Emily didn't even come, she was in Bali. I didn't care. I was doing it on my own. No loans, no handouts, no vacations to relax. Just pure, relentless work. After graduation, I got an entry-level job with a reputable company. The salary was not impressive, but it was enough to stop worrying about renting a house. I kept my head down, worked overtime, and climbed the corporate ladder. Within 3 years, I was earning a 6-figure salary. And then the call started. At first, it was nothing. My mother would casually mention how tight money was. My father would say that everything had gotten expensive. I played dumb. And then one day my mother just said it. "Honey, your dad and I were wondering if you could help us out a little bit. We've been having a hard time lately." I asked what they needed. "Oh, it's nothing too big," she replied. "Just a little help with the mortgage for a while. And maybe Emily's student loans. You know how hard that is for her." I thought for a second. "Wait," I said. "You want me to pay off Emily's loans? The same Emily who spent her college years on yachts and in designer boutiques while I worked 2 jobs. "Oh, don't be like that," she said with a laugh. "You're doing so well now. It's not like you need all that money." That was the moment I realized something. They never expected me to be successful. And now that I was successful, they thought I owed them. There was a silence between us, and I waited to see if she would back down. She did not back down. She really believed I would say yes. So I did what she usually did when I asked for help. I laughed. A big, hearty laugh like she had just told the funniest joke in the world. "Oh, Mom," I said, wiping my eyes. "We don't have any money for you." She didn't like that. Her tone changed immediately. "That's not funny. We are your family." "That's right," I said. "And when I needed help, you said I had to figure it out for myself. So, deal with it." I could hear them arguing on the other end of the phone, but I didn't listen. I hung up the phone. A few minutes later, Emily called. I put her on voicemail. Then my dad texted me some nonsense about a family that sticks together. I ignored that too. For years I had watched them throw money at Emily like it was nothing. And now they want to act like victims because I have money they can't touch? Not my problem. That night, I booked a plane ticket to Italy, first class. Italy was everything I had imagined. I stayed in a suite overlooking the Amalfi Coast, drank wine on sun-drenched terraces, and allowed myself to relax for the first time in years. No double shifts, no ramen lunches, no rent stress. Just me enjoying the life I built. And of course I posted pictures. One morning, while sipping an espresso at a cafe in Rome, I checked my phone. There was a new comment on my last post, a photo of me in the rooftop infinity pool. Emily, wow. That must be nice. Looks like some of us have to work. I snorted. The same Emily who spent her college years bouncing between luxury resorts was trying to blame me? I replied, you're independent, remember? You'll figure it out. A few minutes later, my phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. Then came a message from my mother. Mom, this is very painful. You don't have to poke us in the face. I stared at the message for a moment before typing a reply. You never minded when it was hard for me. No reply. For the first time in my life, I had the upper hand. And I wasn't going to lose it. When I returned from Italy, the silence from my family was deafening. No phone calls, no texts, nothing. I thought they finally got the message. I was wrong. A few weeks later, I came home from work and saw my father sitting on the steps in front of my house. I hadn't even given them my new address. We need to talk, he said. I thought about turning around and walking away, but my curiosity got the better of me. I let him in. He started with small talk, pretending to be interested in my work, my travels. Then he got to the real reason for his visit. Your mother and we're having a little financial trouble, he confessed. I remained silent, letting him speak. We thought we had more time, but the mortgage, Emily's loans, some unexpected expenses. It's all catching up to us. I tilted my head. You mean the money you spent on her vacations? The rent you paid? The designer bags? He had the nerve to look insulted. She's your sister. And I was your daughter when I needed help. Where was the energy then? He sighed and rubbed his temples. Look, we made mistakes, but we're still your family. We need you. That was it. Something they'd never said when I needed them. I grabbed my bag and stood. You'll figure it out. He called my name as I walked to the door, but I didn't look back. Several months went by and I heard nothing from them. No regrets, no sudden, how are you, texts. It was quiet. It was peaceful. And then, out of the blue, Emily called. I almost didn't answer the phone, but my curiosity won out again. She skipped the pleasantries. Mom and Dad are talking about selling the house. I waited. It's really hard for them, she went on. They may have to move to a smaller place. They are stressed. It's bad. I could tell she was fishing for something, but I wasn't biting. That sounds rude, I said. A long pause. Then she sighed sharply. Look, I get it, okay? You were mean to me. They made mistakes. But they are still our parents. We have to help them. I sat back and shook my head. No, Emily. You're the one who has to help them. She scoffed. I don't have that kind of money. I didn't have it either when I was going through a hard time. But they made sure you never had to worry. So if anyone owes them, it's you. She paused, trying to find an answer, but there was none. That was the last time we spoke. The last I heard, they had sold the house. Emily moved back in with them because she couldn't afford to live alone. Meanwhile, I was building the life of my dreams, on my terms, with my money. No guilt. No regrets. And of course no charity. A few years ago, something wild happened to me, something I think about to this day. I rented a small apartment in the old part of town. It wasn't anything special, but it was cheap and I liked the quiet. The only strange thing about it was the closet. It had an old, heavy wooden door with a latch instead of a handle. I remember the first time I opened it, it smelled like sewage. Not bad, just musty, like something had been locked up for too long. A few months later, I started noticing little things. Clothes shifted a little on the hangers. Shoes were out of place. At first I thought it was just inattention, but one night I woke up to a distinct click. The closet door opened by itself. I told myself it was just the apartment settling down, maybe the air pressure was moving things around. But after I got up to close it, I had an overwhelming feeling that I was being watched. The next day I asked my landlord about the house. He laughed and said, "This house has a history." Then he changed the subject. That night I put something heavy in front of my closet. Around 3 a.m. I was awakened by a loud knocking. The door was wide open. The object I had placed in front of it? It was being pushed back and forth as if someone was trying to get out. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning I packed up and left. I broke the lease, lost the deposit, but I didn't care. I never came back. To this day, I don't know what was in that closet. And I don't want to know.